Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraят Nastaprai Bhadrisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, titled The Status Quo, Chapter 2, The Remembrance of Lord Krishna, verse 10. Devasya maya yasprashta ye chanyad as ashrita Brahmyate dhirna tadvakyar atmani uptat manoharo. Devasya maya yasprashta ye chanyad as ashrita Brahmyate dhirna tadvakyar atmani upta atmanoharo. Word by word meaning. Devasya, of the personality of Godhead. Mayaya, by the influence of material energy. Sparstha, infected. Ye, all those. Cha, and. Anyat, others. Asat, illusory. Ashrita, being taken to. Brahmyate, bewildered. Dhi, intelligence. Na, not. Tat, of them. Vyakhyai, by those words. Atmani, in the Supreme Self. Upta Atmana, surrender souls. Haro, unto the Lord. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Under no circumstances can the words of persons bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to all the evidences of the Vedas. He is accepted by all Acharyas, including Sripad Shankaracharya. But when He was present in the world, different classes of men accepted Him differently, and therefore their calculations of the Lord were also different. Generally, persons who have faith in the revealed scriptures accepted the Lord as He is, and all of them merged into great bereavement when the Lord disappeared from the world. In the first canto, we have already discussed the lamentation of Arjuna and Yudhishthira, to whom the disappearance of Lord Krishna was almost intolerable up to the end of their lives. The Yadavas were only partially cognizant of the Lord, but they were also glorious because they had the opportunity to associate with the Lord, who acted as the head of the family, and they also rendered the Lord intimate service. The Yadavas and other devotees of the Lord are different from those who wrongly calculated Him to be an ordinary human personality. Such persons are certainly bewildered by the illusory energy. They are hellish and are envious of the Supreme Lord. The illusory energy acts very powerfully on them because, in spite of their elevated mundane education, such persons are faithless and are infected with the mentality of atheism. They are always very eager to establish that Lord Krishna was an ordinary man who was killed by a hunter due to his many impious acts in plotting to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and Jarasandha, the demoniac kings of the earth. Such persons have no faith in the statement of Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is unaffected by the reactions of work. Namam karmani limpanti. According to the atheist point of view, Lord Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty, was vanquished due to being cursed by the Brahmanas for the sins committed by Krishna in killing the sons of Dhritarashtra, etc. All these blasphemies do not touch the heart of the devotees of the Lord because they know perfectly well what is what. Their intelligence regarding the Lord is never disturbed. But those who are disturbed by the statements of the Asuras are also condemned. That is what Uddhava meant in this verse. Om Ajnanatimirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you so much for joining this Srimad Bhagavatam morning discussion forum. This verse, Uddhavji is speaking to Vidurji, and he is explaining this verse, which is so pertinent to our day-to-day lives. He says, Devasya mayaya sprashta ye chanyad asa ashrita bhramate dhirna tad vakyur atmani upta atmano haro. So here he is explaining the personality of God and how there is blasphemy against the personality of Godhead, and how devotees take the blasphemy. And this verse applies to all of us in our day-to-day lives. So here Uddhavji is saying, under no circumstances the people who are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord can confuse or deviate the intelligence of the Lord, who are completely surrendered souls. So essentially, in a very simple term, Uddhavji is saying the non-devotees of the Lord cannot confuse the devotees. And this is very pertinent to us in our day-to-day lives. And we're going to discuss what Uddhavji means word by word, so that we don't deviate and speak from outside the context of the verse. So, Uddhavji is using the word sprashta, who are infected. So now, as you know, there is a lot of infection going on outside in terms of the virus, and how the people who are not the devotees of the Lord, who take the mental concussion into account through the material knowledge, and how they are infected, and how they are bhramyate, how they are bewildered. And then Uddhavji is explaining about the surrender souls. They are upta atmana, they are surrender souls. So these two are in two sides of the equation, and how the bewildered and infected people cannot really confuse the surrender souls. That is essentially this verse, and this happens to all of us in our day-to-day lives. So, and Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that Yadavas were partially cognizant of the Lord, so that we fully digest the words and the purport, so then we can really put our reflections and then explain what Uddhavji meant. So Prabhupada is saying that the Yadavas were only partially cognizant of the Lord. So broadly speaking, there are two kinds of devotees, and I'm sure we can dissect it and have more points around the types of devotees. There are essentially two kinds of devotees: the Sakama devotees, the Sakama Bhaktas, who expect benefit. You know, they do good work, but they expect benefit. And there is another kind of devotees who are Niskama devotees, who do not expect any benefits by doing the devotional service. They are unalloyed devotees of the Lord. They do not expect anything. They use the term ahetuki. That means there is no hetu in their activities to please the Lord. So the Yadavas were actually the Sakama devotees. They were amazing devotees, but they understood Lord partially, as Prabhupada is explaining so nicely. They do we can't say they did not have the knowledge of the Lord, but they only had partial knowledge of the Lord. That means their knowledge of the Lord is not incorrect, but the knowledge of the Lord is incomplete. And we're going to focus more on that. Then, in this purport, Prabhupada, in bold, as you can see, is using the word namam karmani limpanti from Bhagavad Gita 4.14. Name karma phalashpraha itimam yo vijanati karma virna savidyati. So there is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. Krishna is saying, one who understands this truth about me also doesn't become entangled in the fruitive action of the work. And when Srimad Bhagavatam starts, um, there are references to the qualities of the Lord, and here Prabhupada is touching this very powerful content around namam karmani lipanti. That means the fruits of this action, the fruits of this karma, is not uh, attached to the Supreme. He is actually beyond it. And that is where Srimad Bhagavatam starts. The first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam starts Janmadhyasya tu naividyetarasi chartheva avigyana swarat. Swarat means he is independent. He is totally independent. He is beyond the boon and curses. He is Swarat. And then in this purport there are references to all these blasphemies do not touch the heart of the devotees of the Lord, because they know perfectly well what is what. So there two aspects comes into picture when the blasphemy of the Lord is discussed. Sanatana Goswami from Padma Purana says, Avashnava Mukha Gridam Putam Hari Kathamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochitam Yathapaha. That no one should hear the lessons about Krishna, even if the person is talking about Krishna, if he is not a Vaishnava, because from Padma Purana it is mentioned Avaishnava Mukha Gridam. Anything which comes out from the mouth of somebody who is not a Vaishnava, it is equivalent to sarpochitam yathapaha, sarpa. That means if there is milk and the milk is touched by the tip of a sarpa or a snake, it is exactly like that, because it eventually turns into blasphemy and eventually turns into mental concussion. And there are many references to it. There are references beyond the scriptures where people say Gandhari cursed Krishna. There are references that Lord Krishna demolished this entire dynasty, and he is under the curse. What can you curse somebody when he is Swarat? He is actually Swarat. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse starts with Janmadi asayatunivarta itaras chartheva vigyana Swarat. He is Swarat. He is independent. He is beyond this boon and curse. We are materially situated. The devas or the demigods are materially situated. They want benefits. So they are in that entanglement of good and bad. For them, this boon and curse are important. And Swarat, Swayam Krishna, Punna Purushottam Krishna, is beyond. And that is exactly what Uddhavji is saying. Uddhavji is saying he's beyond this, but it cannot touch the pure devotees. But we are tested every day. And that's why the devotees are very envious. The people who are non-devotees, who are not completely surrendered because of the anarthas, they're very much envious of the Lord. And this envy transcends into saying, because Lord Krishna did this and this, and he eventually was the reason for killing the Kuru dynasty, so and so person like Gandhari in this example cursed Lord Krishna. That's not true, because these people who are spreading this blasphemy, as Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, are envious of the Lord. They do not understand the absolute truth of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. When you understand Brahman, you are very much staying within the confines of Brahman, which is the Brahma Jyoti. And then you do not understand the Paramatma. But the person who understands Paramatma understands Brahman and Paramatma. And the person who understands the personalized form of the Lord as Bhagavan, he understands Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying, Yadus had the understanding of the Lord, and it is not incorrect, but it is incomplete. They only had two of the three understandings, which is there in the Lord. And whenever you have, say gulab jamun being made in the side of the house, and you smell it, then you get attracted and you go there. Then you see the niceties of gulab jamun. It's very soft. It looks, golden red color. And then eventually, when you take it, you taste it, then you experience the color, you experience the flavor, and you experience everything. But just by smelling gulab jamun, you can't really make out what gulab jamun is. Likewise, just by seeing gulab jamun, you can't make out what gulab jamun is. So you have to experience it, and that is the difference we need to understand. So when Prahlad Maharaj was with Hiranyakashipu said, "Who is giving you Krishna Prem? Where from you are learning all these things?" Prahlad Maharaj said, "Father, I may be getting Krishna from anywhere, but you can't get Krishna Prem. You can't get Krishna Prem because you are attached to so many benefits. You are attached to so many material benefits. That's why you cannot understand Krishna. You can't understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because so whenever we talk about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has got a boon, or he has got a curse, he is Swarat. He is beyond the boon and curse. So nobody can do anything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Forget about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They cannot do anything to the pure devotees of the Lord, like Prahlad Maharaj. Hiranyakashipu tried so many things, but because he is Swarat, he is insulated from these boons and curses. Forget about him. Even the devotees, some of the curses cannot even touch the devotees. And the greatest example is Prahlad Maharaj, because he had full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Vanaras, he was chanting the holy name on the streets of Vanaras. A lot of people are very attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go out, people used to like his singing, dancing, his looks, his effulgent vibes, and people used to go with him on Sankirtan in thousands. And Prakashananda Saraswati, a Vedanta scholar, was there. And when he saw that a lot of these people are going after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he also knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Nimai Pandit. He's not as if somebody who did not have the Jnana angle of understanding Vedanta. So he was disturbed, and when this disturbance was made aware by the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did meet Prakashananda Saraswati. And during the meeting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat at a lower level. And Prakashananda Saraswati asked, you are a scholar from uh, from West Bengal, and even if you are very scholarly, why are you not accepting the Vedanta philosophy? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I am a fool because anything which is uttered, the Vedas, the Upanishads, they are very much pure. The Vedanta is very much pure. But when this Vedanta is added with the commentaries of so many different personalities who use their mundane mindset to explain the Vedanta or Vedas or Upanishads, then I can't understand. I'm a fool. And when this discussion uh, took to a slightly higher level, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that the purpose of all these Vedas is to chant the holy name in this age of Kali. Because in the age of Kali, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gati Anyata. There is no other way. The purpose of all these, Vedas, Upanishads, is to understand the Supreme. And the only way to understand the Supreme in this age of Kali is by the chanting of the holy name, which is exactly what I am doing. And that really got Prakashananda Saraswati understand that when we add mental concussion, which exactly what Uddhavji is saying here, because there are numerous ways we will be subjected to numerous questions as to why you were wearing tilak, why were you wearing kantimala, why dhoti, kurta all the time, the sikha on your head. These aspects will be there all the time, and people will say anything because they have been brainwashed by by the gods which have been created. The gods which are created in this world, forget about the qualities, they do not even look like gods. Some of them, they look utterly shabby. And Purna Purushottam Krishna was so beautiful, people were just attracted to them just by looking at them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Varanasi, people were just attracted to them all the time because he was just so effulgent. He was so his 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 presentation was so prominent. So this is an example where Prahlad is challenged by Hiranyakasipu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is challenged by Prakashananda Saraswati. And also, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the age of 24 took sannyas and reached Jagannath Puri, in the first darshan of Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down. He was unconscious. And when he fell down, there was a scholar in Jagannath Puri. His name was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He saw this. He understood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not a normal person. He is something beyond it. But he had tremendous knowledge about the Vedanta philosophy, exactly like Prakashananda Saraswati few years back in Varanasi. So he invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to understand Vedanta philosophy, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went and sat down for 7 days to hear Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's Vedanta philosophy. But eventually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to him that whenever this Vedanta philosophy is mentioned by the karmic people like you and different personalities, the real essence of love for Godhead doesn't come out. And that leads to so much of confusion. And as that dialogue with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya went slightly longer than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dialogues with Prakashananda Saraswati, and eventually Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the Sadbhuja form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So if you go to Jagannath Puri, just behind Svetaganga, you have the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's place, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's Baitak, where this discussion took place, and that is the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the Sadbhuj form, the six-handed form, with Bansi and with uh, with the bow and arrow, and with Kamandalu as the sadhu, Ramji, and Krishna, six-handed form, Sarvuja form of the Lord, right there in Jagannath Puri in front of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So, Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that in order to counter these blasphemy, in order to counter this kind of understanding where people have so much of belief, Krishna says, Shraddhavan lavate jnanam tatpara samatendriya jnanam labdha param santim achirendhi gacchati. So Shraddha, it starts with Shraddha. We need to have tremendous Shraddha or faith. And Tatpara, we need to have, second thing is dedication. And the third thing is Samatendriya. We need to control our senses. So these three things are very critical in all of us, and we are tested every day. And actually in Jagannath Puri, this was tested. And this chapter is known as remembering Krishna. And what remembering is all about is Smaranam. So this time during Jagannath Puri, the Rath Yatra was not supposed to happen. It was cancelled because of the coronavirus pandemic. And finally, the priests who were fully surrendered, they requested to the lordships to come out in the form of yatra, and Rath Yatra, the chariot was made later, and then 2 days before the chariot was over to come out on the actual day of Rath Yatra, if you remember, it was late June 2020, there was a NGO who filed a court case that Rath Yatra cannot happen because of it poses dangers. The hundreds of the Brahmanas, they sat down on the floor, on the road, praying for the Lord, having tremendous faith that Lord will come out. And the day before, there was another counter argument court case which made the Rath Yatra happen this year, 2020. And we also had our Rath Yatra here in our temple, in spite of all the challenges. The faith exhibited by the priest, there are a group of devotees who are wrestlers, who are there in Jagannath Puri to protect the Dham. And those wrestlers were asked to come and pull the chariot because there was no devotee. And when these wrestlers will put the Worldwide Federation wrestlers into shame if you see them. They're huge. They have so much of power. They're only there to protect Lord Jagannath in the Dham. And when they were pulling the chariot, they were mentioned. They have been interviewed. They said when they were pulling the chariot, it was as if Lord Jagannath was pulling the chariot himself. They were not having any energy needed to pull the chariot. So the faith that Lord will come out is such critical in our bhakti path. And once we have the bhakti, then once we have the faith, then what Uddhavji is saying, we will be able to counter the illusory energy and the people who are bewildered and who are infected with the material energy, and we will be able to defy them, and they cannot confuse the devotees. I had a lot more to speak, but I'd like to end here. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and would expect some comments, because we are faced with this every day of our life, and how we counter it is critical in our understanding. So thank you so much for your time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.